We are using this as an entry point is there are conditions which come under microcytic, there are conditions which come under normocytic, and there are conditions which come under macrocytic. So it becomes very easier. Now our differential diagnosis is being narrowed down. We are coming somewhere to our diagnosis. Okay. So this is what is helping us. The things so we are coming to some diagnosis. Now the second thing that we'll look into is this chronic part of it. उसमें कितना sugar है? We know it's small, but they contain normal amount of sugar. You know, the shepherd, even though this size is normal, the sugar is normal and it's going to taste normal. So we want to know how much of the sugar is there. फीका है, normal है, ज़्यादा बहुत sweet हो गया है. So MCHC is going to correlate with this hypochromic, normochromic, and hypochromic. Now when we combine this mean corpuscular volume, we have 3 headings under that and 3 headings under this. So obviously your RBC report will fit under one of these headings, one of these headings. So what you will do is, this RBC is, you will call this, if it's normal, you call it normocytic, normochromic. Okay. Normocytic, normochromic. If it is normocytic, hypochromic. Normocytic, hyperchromic. Or if you have a microcyte, you will call it as microcytic, hypochromic, normochromic, or hyperchromic. Now see, we started with 3 divisions: normo, micro, and macro. Now we are still further divided it into 3 parts. Now see, our differentials are getting narrower and narrower. We are coming to a conclusion. Somewhere we are going to get to a conclusion. Somewhere we will come to some conclusion. Clear? Okay. So now, next of all the remaining part of the lecture, we will be talking only of microcytic, normocytic, macrocytic, hypochromic, normochromic, hyperchromic. This is the terminology we will be seeing when we now will see the reports, and we will try to describe them and come to some conclusion about what is the diagnosis coming up in that. Right? This is our entry point. From there, we got 3 main diagnostic branches. From each of these diagnostic branches, we have 3 of this further subdivided. So we can imagine that 9 subheadings we have now, in which we can have some diagnosis and we can come to some conclusion about all these illnesses. One word about this hyperchromic is a very hypothetical entity, though I have described it. I have described it. It will occur in one condition called spherocytosis. We will describe that later. But apart from that, we will never get hypochromic the same. Because if it means hypochromic, means it is more than 33. It cannot be. This is for the same. So it is almost the same. 80 or 50%, whatever it is you want to call it. It cannot be so much, because we already defined that metabolically RBC can only sustain 1/3 of its weight as hemoglobin. So it cannot. Hyperchromic is a hypothetical entity which becomes, which will come up as a reality in spherocytosis. I'll explain the pathology of spherocytosis, how it becomes hyperchromic. Correct. That's why we get this MCHC values very high. I remove this one. Okay, now we put all this together. We've got some sample reports I've put up on this board over here. We'll start interpreting them. This is 1, 2nd, and 3rd. As we interpret them, I'll speak about a few points about the diagnosis, and we'll cover up those individual topics. My notes contain what all topics are there under each of these headings. Now, the first report. If you go to see over here, hemoglobin 6.1. This is where our eyes will go first. Right, we have a low hemoglobin over here. Pax cell volume is again less. RBC is again less than 5 million, not the same. Now we need some diagnosis to come to. We have the indices out here, 55.2, normal is 80 to 100, MCH 16.8, that is also low because it's less than 27. The MCHC is 30.6, which is less than the range 33 to 36. Okay, now this 55.2, so this will be, what will you call this size? Microcytic. Okay, microcytic. This is less than this. Thicker है, sugar, hypochromic. So microcytic hypochromic anemia we are dealing with. Now we have come to this diagnosis, like microcytic hypochromic anemia. Alright. Wonderful. We come up to this stage. Most commonest of this will be iron deficiency anemia, IDA. Okay, iron deficiency anemia, most commonest this thing. These are then my notes. Okay, so one of the differentials for microcytic anemia is iron deficiency anemia. At our level, we are going to talk of only the commonest ones which we are going to encounter, the rare ones which, as it is, we'll encounter once, I don't know when. So we'll leave that out, we'll give the common situations only. So now we have a microcytic hypochromic anemia. Most commonest cause is iron deficiency anemia. Let us go a little bit deep into it. Iron deficiency anemia will have red distribution with large listing. Because there's anemia out over there. Multiple sizes of the same RBCs. Anisocytosis is a marked feature out over there. So RDW will be high, 20.2. Okay, we are getting this. Now see, everything is clicking into place. Now everything is clicking into place. Now we go to WBC count, which is normal. We are not going to go to WBC platelet counts insofar as they are not concerned with the RBC part right now. So WBC count is normal, the same. Platelet count, here you have fallen right over here, 6.25, 6,25,000 platelets. Normal value is 1,50,000 to 4,50,000. Here you have a high platelet count. So here you have a diagnosis of microcytic hypochromic anemia, RDW, both pointing towards iron deficiency. And yes, we are looking towards iron deficiency. In iron deficiency anemia, you get a high from the same platelet count. So everything is falling into place. IDA. Alright. Now we will see a similar picture here and see what differentiates this hypochromic microcytic hypochromic from this. Okay. Here again, RBC 6.17, high count. Hemoglobin is low, definitely low. Pax cell volume 37, lowly there. It has gone low. These are low. So now we go to this three figures. What do we see? MCV is 62. Yeah, microcytic. MCH is 20, again low. And MCHC is 32.2. So it is microcytic hypochromic. See, already you all become experts. Now, there's something odd about this report. There's that. No, I'll come to that also. Here you can see the red distribution is normal. Coming out to be normal out here. WBC is again normal. We'll ignore that. And platelet count is normal out here compared to what we hear in this figure. Right? And so here we are dealing with something different. Now how do we confirm that whether this is different or not? This is a thalassemia minor trait, thal trait. Okay. He is not a thalassemia patient, but thalassemia trait is there. One recessive gene is there. So he's got a trait. So that this is how this is you're getting these figures. Now how do you distinguish between each of these two? You have this RDW is also there, this dictum is there. You have this also to help you, but these are not the same yet. Recognize that you take this in, but this is going to help you in the diagnosis. What is coming up is Menzer index. Is there in the notes? I have written and given that copy in the notes. Okay, it's on page 2, somewhere at the bottom. Menzer index. It just means you take the MCV and divide by the RBC. Same way. So here MCV is 62 divided by the 6.17, and what do I get? I get the value of 10.04. Now, what I have written is any value less than 13 suggests a thalassemia. Anything more than 13 will suggest iron deficiency anemia. Mind you, I am using the words suggestive of. So we are going to come to this. So this is, now we are 10.06. It tallies with thalassemia. Now what does it tally with thalassemia, and why are you getting such a big, huge difference out to here? Here, yes, you are getting the same picture, microcytic hypochromic. But here you will see this difference. So the first one also is thalassemia. No, the first one, if you see the Menzer index is 15.1. 15.1. I'll calculate it. You can calculate it. 15.1. So this is iron deficiency anemia. Okay. Now, this, how do you explain this discrepancies all out over here? Now the logic behind this thing that this figures is that basically in the RBC formation, RBC in the hemoglobin formation, it is the globin chain which is being affected. The globin component of it is the defective component in this minor this thing. So what is happening is that iron is not capable of carrying so much of oxygen. So what happens is that the bone marrow compensates and starts producing large number of RBCs to compensate for the oxygen that it can carry. So the tissues are not hypoxic. So it carries a lot of the same. Hemoglobin is there because this is also raised, and the hemoglobinization is normal because only the chain is defective. The hemoglobinization has not been affected. Here you don't have iron at all. So that your hemoglobin can form. There's plenty of globin, but there's no iron, so there's no hemoglobin being formed. The heme part is absent. Here the heme part is okay. Globin part is also there. So you're getting the hemoglobin, but you come to 11.9, is somewhere a little less. Okay. Paxil 1 correspondingly less because it's microcytic the same. Here also if you see, yes, this number is slightly towards the same, on the higher side. It is going towards the normocytic testing, whereas the iron deficiency will be lower and lower, coming lower and lower. So here this is where the thing. Here also you see the MCHC, because the hemoglobinization, the amount of sugar in that is going to be normal. Amount of sugar is normal, but that sugar is not sweet sugar. So you don't feel that sweetness. You're saying it's fika. So the tissues are saying oxygen nahi aa raha. Hypoxia. They're sending signals. So they're producing more RBC. So this thing explains this. Alright? And this is normal. So this is the logic behind this idea. Now one more example. Here again if you see RBC is again less, hemoglobin again less, Paxil volume again less. So what do we see in these three values? Now come to a diagnosis. Please tell me. 57 MCV. So it is micro. Okay. 31.6. Hypo. So it is microcytic hypochromic anemia. Again, two differentials you're getting IDA and TAL. Do the Menzer's index. This is coming to. Yeah, RDW is more, 19.5. So here also anisocytosis. Alright. And SSRI is because hemoglobin नहीं बन रहा है. Some RBCs are coming with more hemoglobin, some with less hemoglobin, some size, various sizes and all that are coming. So all this the same. So here you see this, and again the platelet count has gone up. Why it goes up, I'll tell you when we speak about the iron part of it. So this is how we got this, the same. Comfortable? Two diagnoses, most commonest that you're going to encounter, the same, and how to differentiate. Now the differentiating part in this health, and this thing is Menser's index is not is a suggestive index. So now what is mainly done is hemoglobin electrophoresis studies are done, and it measures HbA2, and will tell you that if that value goes high, it tells you that this person has that trait, thalassemia trait. Alright. So now that becomes a confirmation. So you don't want to give iron to this person. This person already has enough iron. You do the iron study, you get it. So you see this other values are all helping you to come to some diagnosis somewhere. We have started with this size, and now we have gone into the homea part, and then now we have come into a diagnosis. Already now we have become expert at two disease diagnosis. Right? Moment you get this, you have to be alert.
We don't give the Menser's
index. Menser's index, what happens is Menser's index. Some labs do give that, like SRL lab will give the Menser index.
So if they don't give, we have to do
You calculate it, just MCV over RBC and 13. 13 is an unlucky number. Okay, 13 के नीचे is all thal, khal, and above that is all anemic part of it. Okay, and if you see also for the same you see the three values of MCV, they are almost equal, all nearby. Whereas the denominator RBC, if you see here, the denominator has gone almost double of this and 3 times of this or something like that. Alright, more than double. So what is happening is the RBC, if this denominator goes up, increases, this value will come down. No? Alright. If I take half, this is obviously less. This value is going up, so this is obviously less. So this will go in favor of thal, and greater than 13 is iron deficiency anemia. If you forget the 13 is upper ya niche, try to remember this thing. Half one, half and quarter. RBCs will come out with here, and iron deficiency anemia is this, and this will be the thal part of it. Now, in a thalassemic patient, now this is important, I don't know the thing, we should complete this part of the thalassemia, take 5 minutes more, but then one thing is that you have to alert the patient that you got a thalassemic trait. Now, and you have to do the electrophoresis test. Why do you want to alert the test? Why do you want to alert the patient that you got a thalassemic trait? Is that if a thalassemic trait person marries another thalassemic trait, there are 4 combinations possible. 3 combinations possible. You may have a normal child, you may have a child with the same, you will have 2 children with thalassemic traits and 1 child with thalassemia major. Now thalassemia major is a deadly disease, you don't want anybody to have that disease. So it becomes incumbent that we have to actually alert the patient about this possibility of this and get this tested out. Now more often than not, if it's an adult patient which is coming, 15, 16, 17 years old, coming to us for the first time, they would be carrying this report of, they would be saying, हमने electrophoresis किया था, normal आया था, अभी हम लोग को thalassemia नहीं है, उसमें normal आया था. Alright. Now, the crux of this whole thing is that if with this report I do electrophoretic studies electrophoresis studies, what it will give me is the electrophoric pattern, and I said that the thalassemia diagnosis is on the levels of A2, hemoglobin A2, alright, hemoglobin A2. Now this A2 levels, if they are high, they will diagnose with this thing. But since you're already anemic, your hemoglobin is low, you will get a low A2 as it is. So you will say that this report is normal, and you will miss that bus, or probably that other doctors miss that bus if that doctor was not aware. So what you have to do in these conditions is treat this anemia, get this anemia to a normal level, whatever it is, do the iron studies, do the B12 levels, everything, get this anemia, boost up the anemia, and then do the electrophoretic studies. So this becomes inconvenient. Even if someone comes with a report, you know, 10 साल पहले किया था हमने, ये रिपोर्ट आया था. Now that 10 years old CBC report you don't have. You have no idea whether the doctor took this care, you know, to take care of it. But it is incumbent that we, as a good doctor, should get this hemoglobin, correct the anemia, and then go in for electrophoresis. Otherwise, you as a doctor will be solely responsible for a third major patient. You don't want that. Who wants to on this conscious? So this is one point that I wanted to cover on this. Okay. So don't leave it at that. Alright. See, we have said, you know, we all call ourselves as GPs, you know. GPs, no? But what I say that GP stands for great physicians. This is where our greatness has to shine out. We also call ourselves as FP, you know, family physicians. No, we are first class physicians. This is where we have to shine out. This is very much in our hands. This CBC report is going to come to you first time, and you're going to do all this. So this is what you're going to pick up, and this is what you're going to advise. Even though you are a homeopath, I am an allopathy, and this one is Ayurvedic doctor, you still have this moral obligation of this thing. Future implications of a child being born because we are so careless with this report. We don't want this, so this is this. Can we switch off and go to the next? Okay, now this pendulum has gone to microcytic, so it has to go shift to the other end. Pendulum, so go to the macrocytic. This thing, we'll discuss the macrocytic part of it. Okay, so now. First, this thing, RBC 2.35, definitely low, hemoglobin low, 6.2, fat cell volume low, 18. Alright, now what do we have here? NCV 135 raised, NCH 47 raised, NCHC is 34.8, which is in the normal distance. Okay, and RDW 18.7, and platelet counts 2.5, WBC normal. So how will you diagnose this as? Macrocytic. Normochromic. Yet there's a hemoglobin, so there's a pallor, there's anemia. Alright. So now in the macrocytic, I have listed a number of conditions. You know, one is the megaloblastic anemia. This there in the notes, megaloblastic anemia, myelodysphosphoproliferative disorders, then you have liver diseases, you have thyroid, mention those conditions out over there. Okay, now we're looking at a classical megaloblastic anemia, large cells. Okay. So megaloblastic anemia, and what does anemia? Now this megaloblastic anemia, this is because of B12 and folate deficiency, most commonly B12 deficiency. Now, so this is called megaloblastic anemia. Megaloblastic anemia. Now, what is? There is no distinct hint of any iron deficiency here. So in this patient, you are not going to pick up your pen and write iron, or would you advise any iron-rich diet or whatever you want. Here you know it's a clear-cut this thing. Vitamin deficiency, you have to give a multivitamin, good this thing, and take care of the whole thing.
So that reverses, after you start the folate and the B12, it reverses.
Yeah, it reverses very much. Now,
so here we will give vitamin B12 also and
no, you don't want iron. Is there any hint of any iron coming up? Because iron will be microcytic. Remember microcytic. Okay, we'll come. I'll talk of a combined the same anemia also. We'll come to that.
So the treatment also will be based on the CBC report only.
Yeah, you're going to the same clear, you want a clear cut now case. Now you have all that you have to do is give vitamin B12,
Right.
cyanocobalamin or metcobalamin. Now, for the most practical part of it, Vitcofol injection contains 500 the same per 5 ml, per ml, sorry. Give that the same and you can correct this deficiency. Or you can give Vitcofol C, which comes in 2 ampules. Sorry, going to the allopathic part.
No, why I asked was, we are blindly giving iron for every anemia will be pointless.
No, you're not, but this will never get corrected. This will never get corrected. We come to the next part of the same. Because life is never straightforward here. You will always get a mixture somewhere in between and then you are the same. So, and that's why it makes us doctors relevant, No amount of artificial intelligence can replace, at least right now can't replace us, okay?
ChatGPT can replace. No, if the machine is giving you a report, if the report, the machine is giving you a report for this, except for the index. Supposing that is calculated by the machine, like you said, SR laboratory, even the treatment will be printed out by the machine only, actually.
give vitamin B.
Report is given, and at the end of it, suggest vitamin B12, folic acid, and stuff like that. Why not? It's based on the report, the formula.
Yeah, probably the same. At least not now. In the near future, we don't get that. And anyway, even this AI,
Maybe not here.
No developed countries, no pathologist is there going to write the treatment.
No. I'm just suggesting if it can be done by the machine, why depend on the human factor at all? I mean, the doctor missing it or something like that. Doctor is careless.
Okay. So here we have this B12, the same injections. Vitcofol C is another preparation which has 1500 of this B12. 2 ampules in it. One red color which is the B12 and this thing, and then white color which is vitamin C. I don't know why they prepared and what that this thing is. You might not even give it. This thing. So give some this thing. You correct it. Everyone has their own formula for correcting this cyanocobalamin B12 deficiencies. What I normally do is give 500 milligrams twice a week and finish off 1 bottle of Vitcofol, and then put the patient on high dose cyanocobalamin orally. Okay. Now this is the place where we do this thing. This is one place. When you get this one report, you may confidently suspect, that this patient is a vegetarian. Okay. या कोई पेशेंट लाके रिपोर्ट देखा तो नहीं, ये पेशेंट का रिपोर्ट देखो तो यू सी दिस रिपोर्ट ये वेजिटेरियन है ना, तो यू स्कोरिंग अ ब्राउनिंग पॉइंट विद द impressing the patient with that the same that most probably he'll turn out to be a vegetarian, because vegetarians are the thing which are deficient, because non-veg sources are plenty. Otherwise also you'll have see the patient with if it's a long-standing, you'll have a silver head, bald tongue, and this pigmentations over the skin and foot. If you want, I'll send you the pics on the group, and you can see those things. Now you do all this patients, and then you repeat this CBC, you get the good report, everything turns out to be everything, but the patient is back again with you after 6 months. Now what? Again you've got a megaloblastic. The same anemia. It's coming repeatedly to you. Now you want to think of something different. This could be pernicious anemia, in which the intrinsic factor is lacking in that person. It could be inborn or it could be acquired. Most common this thing would be atrophic gastritis, and your PPIs which you're taking will destroy the stomach, parietal cells and all that, hypofunctioning of all that. So when they're coming repeated the things, you may want to do two tests. Anti-intrinsic factor antibody. Okay. Anti-intrinsic factor antibody. Okay. As the name suggests, it is antibody which is directed against the intrinsic factor. So if it is present and in a significant amount, then you know that you are dealing with a pernicious anemia. Or the other second test that you can do is anti-parietal cell antibody. Anti-parietal cell antibody.
Anti-parietal cell will be autoimmune kind of factor.
Yeah, you're going to get those things. So anti-parietal thing. So and the parietal cells produce this intrinsic factor. So these are the two tests that you can confirm used to do this from megaloblastic anemia. They can have a number of GI symptoms like they can have nausea, vomiting, and even constipation or diarrhea, anorexia, weight loss. All this can come into this megaloblastic thing. And there are a number of symptoms. Now what happens is, diagnostic part is to confirm it, you do a B12 level and it comes low. Now sometimes B12 level, you get this report and you don't know the thing, and if you do LDH also along with it, a low B12 with a high LDH means that this is megaloblastic thing. Even if this person doesn't have anemia, you will still treat him and his symptoms will go away.
So treat him with what?
Treat him with cyanocobalamin and his symptoms will go away.
A low B12.
Low B12, high LDH. That will be one clue for you that you are dealing with this. Even though the picture he has not yet gone.
The cholesterol, the lipid.
No. LDH is the
low density.
This, I'll tell you the name, I can't remember. Okay. So it's not the lipid. Okay. So this is the same. So even if you don't have this anemia picture, you can confidently go ahead and give B12. Right, high LDH and the same. You don't have to wait for the anemia to come up. Then,
doctor, but as the HP is 6.2, so when you start with the folate and everything, that will go up.
yeah, they will go up. No, this will all normalize. Now I mentioned that in the same chronic liver diseases and also in alcoholic conditions, you get macrocytosis. All right, macrocytic, the same. Now, why is there a macrocyte RBC is not there? That example is not there. Why is it there? Why does macrocyte develop with a liver disease and with alcoholism and all that? Nothing, no rocket science. What happens is because the liver is damaged, it keeps on adding phospholipids, and the cholesterol to the RBC membrane. So what happens is the RBC membrane, the RBC is normal size, but the RBC paper, like a Christian lady going for a marriage, fluffy coat and gown and all that, thin inside, but it has the same. So that's how the RBC, the machine will read it as a megaloblastic, macrocytic macrocytic. So that is how you will get a macrocytic this thing, even though that patient doesn't have anemia. That patient has normal RBCs, hemoglobin is everything only because of his alcoholic this thing and his liver this thing. Those things are getting added, so you may have a macrocytic, normochromic picture, no anemia. No, normochromic, so no anemia will be there. So that is the reason how we will be going. So if you get 135 and you're getting something normal out of here, think patti, think, and this is possibly this thing. You go into the this thing. Now, second this thing, another diagnosis, though rare, we should not miss this because this can be life-saving for the patient. Though it will be rare, but it will be life-saving for the patient. Here again you will see all low, anemia is there, paka. This is definitely you're dealing with anemia patient. Now you go down to the diagnostic part of it. How will you diagnose this? You call this as macrocytic hypochromic anemia. Now you go down further below. RDW 14 है. Here we strike WBC 2500. Low. Alright. Platelet counts 2.9. Okay. I'm sorry, this should have been a bit low, you know. I don't know how I thought of this as 2.9. It will be low. Okay. Now, unless you're dealing with a fever patient in which the WBC count has gone low, then you might want to defer the diagnosis. But here, you're seeing all the 3 cell lines, you know. Let's put this as 0.9. Okay. 3 cell lines, you know. Blood has 3 cell lines: RBC, WBC, and platelets. All the 3 cell lines are down, depressed. They are depressed. Plus, you are having a megaloblast. Megaloblastic picture with all the 3 lines suppressed, gone down, is myelodysplastic syndrome, MDS. Myelodysplastic syndrome. Myelo refers to the bone marrow. Myelodysplastic syndrome. I've written it in my causes. MDS. Okay. So a megaloblastic macrocytic picture with all the 3 cell lines depressed, bell should ring, a red flag that you're dealing with MDS, myelodysplastic syndrome. Now, why is this important? MDS. Now, there's no actual definition for MDS. It lies somewhere between a normal bone marrow and a cancerous bone marrow. So you see, it's a difference between a normal and a cancerous bone marrow. It's an in-between state. This patient has not yet developed cancer. He has a high probability of developing cancer. Now this is a patient where you want to send him to a hematologist. Pack him up. आपने को ट्रीटमेंट करना ही नहीं है इसको. The faster he is seen by a hematologist, the better he will be managed. Because they will do bone marrow biopsy and do everything and see that this person is
Cancer of the bone marrow.
Yeah, cancer, lymphomas and all those. Okay.
So any kind of cancer or just
acute lymphocytic, chronic lymphocytic, the same, myeloid leukemia and all those related to this. Okay, this is where you the thing. So you pack them out to the hematologist. This is the only thing why I bought this.
just on that one thing, macrocytic
and all the 3 cell lines are depressed without any cause. You see, the patient is not febrile. You got it has a routine in this thing.
That is what the leukocyte.
Leukocyte, WBC. Alright. In case we are still in a doubt, patient को बोल दो कि इधर कुछ गड़बड़ दिखता है, आपका बुखार अच्छा हुआ, फिर बाद में वापस रिपोर्ट निकाल के देखना है.
So the lower WBC itself would have suggested some kind of.
No, this could be depressed because of anything else also. So you won't get. What I'm saying is the key word is
Correct.
macrocytosis with 3 cell lines depressed. You will now refer the patient. MDS. refer कर दो. Alright, it makes a difference to the patient. You don't want to miss this line.
Okay, because why the RBCs are produced in the bone marrow, that's why? The cells are produced in the bone marrow, that's why?
Yeah, all the 3 cell lines are there produced in the bone marrow itself. So myelodysplastic. So dysplastic is, this is something wrong, plastic is the same, so it's referring somewhere to the cancer, in between the cancer and this thing. The name itself is suggestive कि खतरनाक नाम है, you don't want to deal with it, you want to refer it. Okay.
This also can be provided by the machine also.
This will not come with the machine. No?
I mean, values will come.
Values will come. You have all these values. We are diagnosed only on this values. We are not going anywhere around this. Yeah, again the AI, if you are looking into that. Okay.
Possible, no?
Possible. But then that same AI will diagnose your headache as a cancer also. So where are you? How much are you going to input the causes of the same headache, and then you see how many patients are coming to us with headache. You know, headache हो रहा है, 3 महीने से हो रहा है, डॉक्टर कुछ करो. If you don't write a CT scan, you're a bad doctor. Okay, so that's a different thing. AI. Okay, now we'll swing it to this.
One CBC report and how much of information?
So many things, na?
Yeah, you can get a lot. Okay, so now that you know, you are now responsible for and you become all experts at it. The way you are replying to me, you're experts at it. Now this is one missing. 3.89 low count, hemoglobin 11.5 again border पे आ गया है. Backside volume 34.2 low है. As it is the RBC counts are less, so this is going to go low. Mean corpuscular volume 87. Normal. MCH 34. Okay. MCHC is on the higher side of normal. Okay. MCHC is 39. More than 26. Okay. RDW is 14.4. WBC count okay. Platelet counts okay. How do you come to this? We have told you that the RBC has metabolic capacity of only one third of its percent. It is coming to 39%. That means something is going wrong. Something is going wrong out over there. What is happening is, you have this bilobe RBCs. This RBC will have totally red, you know, hyperchromic. So now I am giving you an example of normocytic hyperchromic. Now the same thing can occur with a microcytic hyperchromic. Now when you come think of this hyperchromic, you have to bhakti hota hai is spherocytosis. Spherocytosis. Round RBCs, they are not dumbbell shaped, but they become round. And now why have they become round? They were produced in this manner only, but they become round. How do they become round? It's because the membrane of this is defective. So when it is passing through narrow lanes, some of these membranes get chipped off, starts getting breaking off. So slowly the membrane size becomes smaller. So once the membrane size, supposing this becomes smaller, so क्या करेगा? This will become, will try to join up. ऐसा करते करते ये फिटते हो जाएगा like a football round. So spherocytosis. Now this again could be hereditary or it could be acquired drug induced thing which is this interfering with this. Okay, so this is one diagnosis. Okay, Abhi, can you just switch it up? Put the last three and then we come down to the end of it. Now we have three different sets of another actual pathology reports. First one, RBC count 1.42, drastically reduced. hemoglobin 4.3 reduced, taxol volume 10.9 के ऊपर आ गया. Now it's really reduced. But what do you see over here? MCV is 89.2. 89.2 is normal. Normal. MCH 33 normal. MCHC 36 again normal. You have anemia. This is normochromic, normocytic, normochromic. Up, what do we do with this patient? I am stuck now. This is all coming normal. RDW is raised 25. Okay. One thing is that I didn't speak about retic count. Retic count. This will become important out here. Retic count. What retic count is the immature RBC just before the RBC is released. So this just before it is released, these retics are released. So when there is a lot of demand on the body for oxygen or for anything, so what happens is that production increases, but then what happens is not even WhatsApp messages, direct call goes to the medical marrow कि तुम भेजो RBCs को ज़्यादा. So they force out, even the reticulocytes are forced into circulation. Keep the system under homeostasis. Our body is designed only to maintain homeostasis, to maintain the internal memory. So moment it is getting threatened, it will take any steps to remedy the situation. What happens is sends the immature RBC, retic counts out. So they are very low. In this case, they are 6. They are about less than 2 normally. Here the retic count is 6. So not making any sense of this report. It's a very funny nursing report. Something unlike what we have seen. Can you make any sense of this?
WBC count is also more.
Count is also 14,100. Okay. Not making any sense of this thing, because here you get clear-cut anemia, but your indices are normal over here. Retic count is gone up. So that means this retic count has gone up. Okay, retic count is gone up. So it means the system is under stress, something is happening. This is hemolytic anemia. Now this is a very confusing picture. You have a definite anemia, yet there is no clue coming from here. There are red flags coming up that the RDW has increased, the retic count has gone 6, that means the production has been stepped up. Now what this means is production has been stepped up is the narrow is working normal now. You see, for this thing to come down, either the RBC production is low, or you have lost blood, like you said, that you have lost blood because of accident or this thing, or a heavy period or this thing, you lost blood, or the thing, destructions, yeah, exactly. RBC destructions have occurred. Now this retic count is normal, so here you are seeing the marrow is out. Marrow is producing normally, everything is therefore here these values are normal. This has come down because of loss of RBCs, destruction of RBCs, hemolytic anemia. Now hemolytic anemia could be autoimmune or drug-induced, rifampicin, dapsone and all those drugs. The entire list is there. So this is hemolytic anemia.
So this will be over a short period? I mean, this is
if it's autoimmune, saying you get it over a period of a day or two, suddenly it dropped and the patient saying, "Well, what weakness I can't." Nothing always going on. Okay. Now there is another thing also, that Okay, this, please give me your diagnosis.
The second one.
Yeah, second one. RBC marginally depressed, hemoglobin definitely low, fractional volume definitely low. Okay.
What are
Hypo. Okay. Or you take, okay. So it is,
hypoglow.
so it is
All the three are
micro,
Microcytic, hypochromic.
yeah, hypochromic, anemia, definitely.
Yeah, correct.
Anemia. Now, diagnosis. Diagnosis. अभी तो क्या हम लोग हैं? Yeah. Iron deficiency or calcate, but then if you do the measures, this is 16.28. Iron deficiency.
Designer.
Oh, yeah. Last one.
Go down.
Yeah, RBC is 1.7 low, hemoglobin 7.7 low, fractional volume 21 low, MCV 124 raised, MCHC 37,
Hyperchromic.
hyper border on the border, RDW is raised,
WBC is raised.
WBC is normal 5000,
Or the hyper.
platelet count normal. So this is diagnosis of
Almost normal ground.
okay, almost normal, but this is
Microcytic.
no
Macro.
macrocytic. Okay, macrocytic, homochromic, okay, but there is anemia. Alright,
Here also with
The redistribution, the
RDW
RBC
is
redistribution is
raised, 12-13 is normal, it's raised. Yeah, exactly. Now see all experts are knowing all this. Okay, I just put all this too. Okay, so this should be the same. Why it is not MDS? Because the cell
Because
lines
the cell, WBC and RP, I mean platelets are in
normal range, they are not depressed. And one more thing is there, in megaloblastic anemias, this thing megaloblastic B12 deficiency, you get over 120.
Over 120.
Over 120. 100 to 120 is an in-between phase, you know, when that person is still developing the same B12 deficiency. So he may be in between that phase, but anything above 120, you are almost on sure grounds that this is B12. Alright. So this is your B12, this thing. Right?
Above 120.
MDS, whereas MDS myelodysplastic syndrome, 3 cell lines depressed, it is megaloblastic, but it will be less than 120. Most of the times it will be lying somewhere between 100 to 120. Now I have covered up most of the diagnostic things in that. I'm not gone into the theory part, gone more into the practical part because that is what we are interested in. Now, let's switch it. We have a small quiz. Okay. In the meantime, when this camera was switched off, the participants were taking a quiz and they would mark themselves out. This was the quiz that they were given 9 values of MCV, MCH and MCHC and make a diagnosis of all this. So those who are following us on the video can also have a look at this. First, diagnosis 110, 55, 50.
Macrocytosis, hypochromic,
Macrocytic, hyperchromic. Give us one mark if right. Fully, hyperchromic. Now this is a very hypothetical situation. Huh? This doesn't occur in real life.
Yes.
Okay, but it has been put as an example out here. It doesn't occur in real life. Okay. Second one,
Normocytic, normochromic.
Normochromic. Fine. Good. Excellent. This
Macrocytic, hypochromic.
No,
Macrocytic, hypochromic.
yeah, macrocytic hypochromic. Okay. Third one. Macrocytic hypochromic. Okay. See this value at the top. Okay. Now fourth.
Microcytic, normochromic.
Okay. Fine. Microcytic normochromic. This
Fifth is macrocytic, normochromic.
yes.
That's fine.
This
Normocytic, hypochromic.
seventh
Microcytic, hypochromic.
hypochromic. मालूम है diagnosis ना इसका तो microcytic hypochromic we have done it so many times. Iron deficiency anemia thyroid. Okay. Now
Normo, hypercytosis and hyperchromic.
okay. Can you guess the diagnosis इसका?
Another one.
This eighth one. Diagnosis. Megaloblastic will come in the macrocytic variety.
Okay.
Macrocytic.
Macrocytic.
Yeah.
So, this is
Yeah, exactly. You yourself 1 mark, extra mark for that. You get a prize for that.
He gets it.
Yeah, he gets it.
Okay, there is more chromic acid.
Now last.
Micro and hyper.
Micro and hyper. Again diagnosis. Iska diagnosis should be easy. Microcytic hyperchromic diagnosis bolo. Another prize for that.
Pernicious anemia, that's what you said.
No, pernicious anemia will be B12 deficiency, which will be megaloblastic, macrocytic. This is again spherocytosis.
Okay, again?
Yes, spherocytosis. You can imagine that RBC, which is getting, uska RBC, the membrane is getting this chipped off. In the process, it was normal size out to here. It has got so chipped off now that it has become very small, chintu. Chota RBC ban gaya.
Right.
But the content inside is sugar content inside this thing, sherbet is.
So, because the first one was normal set.
So the only thing is you have to remember that spherocytosis can come in both. If you see the list of differential I have given you for micro, normo and macrocytic have common in-betweens. There will be some common in-betweens will be coming in. So okay, so spherocytosis can come out over here. Okay, कितना marks है ना सबको? Some wrong, right? Wow, Lord.
Spheroblastic anemia I was unable to say. Right, wrong.
एक wrong था.
There are some 2, almost 3 wrong.
Okay. Okay, fine. Experts now.
Because अपन सिर्फ नीचे ऊपर लिखा मैंने एक ही word लिख दिया बराबर.
No,
Maybe because of that.
Yeah.
And I wrote proper words.
Right.
तो ये देखो ना पहले लिखिए.
Dr. Sunita was there.
Okay, Dr. Sunita. All right. All the 9 right.
All the 9
Please come
right.
and take a prize.
Middle of the day.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Your name?
Sanjeevi.
Sanjeevi. Yeah, Sanjeevi, the follower.
So restricted to 2 out of 3. So only 1 and follow. And there are only 3 of us.
Congratulations. And Dr. Prakash for the spherocytosis.
For the special. We were unable to say.
Yeah, okay, fine. Your spherocytosis. Okay. Okay, now can you just switch it off and we go on. Now how much time? Okay, now a very ultra short the same on how iron is utilized in the body. Because we haven't very short how the iron is utilized in the body. Because we are all the time talking of RBC, now this is the final part where I want to tell you something about iron, so that most of us at the time we get iron studies done, because many of the reports will be confusing in between and we need to get iron studies done, and there are various parameters and we should know which parameter gets affected when. So a short thing on iron thing. Mainly first thing is that our body iron, the thing stored in our body is just 2 to 5 grams. Just 2 to 5 grams of iron in our human body. Just focus it on this. Focus नहीं आएगा अच्छा देखा. Yeah. So most of the same iron in our body is just 2 to 5 grams, and maximum iron, about 80% of the iron is found in hemoglobin 70%, and the remaining 5% in myoglobins, and remaining are found in cytochrome and mitochondria. This is a very essential part of iron is the same component, and therefore when you study this iron metabolism, I said that it is found in cytochrome and mitochondria. Mitochondria are the powerhouses of the cell, which is the powerhouse cell. Now, when you start iron, in an iron deficient person, when you start iron, he starts feeling better from day 2 onwards. It's that rapid. And we say that it is because his hemoglobin is rising. It's not because his hemoglobin is rising, but because his mitochondria have started receiving this iron, and there now the battery cell has got recharged now totally, and so now he's brimming up with energy. He's feeling better. So that is where this thing. So around 80%, out of the 80%, 70% is in the RBCs, 5% in the myoglobin, in the muscles, and remaining 5% is go in that this thing. Now around 15 to 20% is stored iron in the body. It is stored in 2 forms, ferritin and hemosiderin. Ferritin is a soluble form of iron and hemosiderin is the insoluble form of iron. Now hemosiderin is this is the hemosiderin and this is the ferritin. Now not much difference between the two. When this ferritin molecules just come together and form a big mass, it is called hemosiderin, and this is the same. And this is an insoluble thing, and therefore can be seen under a microscope. Ferritin is soluble, cannot be seen under a microscope, and therefore this is seen, not seen. Alright? Otherwise, it's the same component. This is the storage form of iron. Now, iron, when we eat, it is absorbed mainly from the duodenum. We'll begin the journey as it enters our body. Having eaten it, the main site of absorption is the duodenum. From the duodenum, it is absorbed and it is taken in the blood. In the blood, it is carried by an iron-carrying protein which is called transferrin. Here, this is the name. Transferrin is green triangle shaped this thing. Each transferrin molecule can carry 2 molecules of iron. So each of this is carrying 2 molecules of iron. So this is the transferrin, and this is transferrin. This is the transferrin iron combination. This thing. Now this is the stomach duodenum. It has come into the bloodstream. This is the blood vessel. Now from here, this will go into the bone marrow and will attach to the proerythroblast, the same cells which have receptors, which has transferrin receptors on its membrane. So this will get attached to it. Once it is attached, it will be taken in by a form of endocytosis, like what you call, you have seen amoeba, so endocytosis is just pinched in and taken inside the proerythroblast, and there it circulates and comes in close contact with the mitochondria, ribosomes, the things and all, and it empties itself out over there. Iron is emptied out. See, the point is that iron is very toxic in the body. it just cannot be left alone. It's very toxic. Why is it toxic? It can interfere with DNA. Interfere with DNA means not genetic, but you will have cancer mutations coming up. You don't know what may not come up. Okay, so that plus it interferes with the membranes and lipids and all that. So it cannot go free. So once it goes inside, it is like endocytic vesicle. It goes inside, binds onto the site where the hemoglobin is. The hemoglobin is going to be further processed. It gets processed and you get hemoglobin, and this RBC is now released into the bloodstream. RBC has a lifespan of 120 days. In the course of 120 days, it will ultimately come out, and when it is very old, it passes through spleen. Spleen is called the graveyard of the RBCs. So where the RBCs are captured by the macrophages. So macrophages will take the thing. They are inside, processed inside. The iron is removed from them. The iron, globin part is the protein part, which is again recycled. The iron is removed from that. Is a protophylum ring from which the iron is removed, and it binds with a protein called apoferritin. Apoferritin and the iron binds to form ferritin molecule. Okay, so you have a apoferritin which is there during the macrophages, and the moment the iron is released, it gets bound with this, and it gets the same bundled with this, and this becomes ferritin. Now this is where the iron is stored. Now if there is excess of ferritin, they will come together and cause a hemocysteine in this thing. It will cause a molecule called hemocysteine, which is nothing but ferritin all bunched together. This is the insoluble form, this is soluble form. Now from here, some amount of ferritin leaks into the blood vessels. Some amount of ferritin leaks into the blood vessels, and then it recirculates. Now, if you see this cycle, nowhere is this iron allowed to be free. It is always bound. Even inside this, it is even released only where in those organelles where it is needed, and then it just comes out and goes out. Now, the only place where it is stored is the macrophages, and macrophages where most prominently spleen, liver, correct? Those macrophages which is stored. So the storage form of iron is ferritin, and to some extent hemocysteine. Okay. Now, some amount of ferritin can leak into the blood, and this can be measured. And then this gets recycled. Again, iron transferring goes to this keeps recycling. Now, what is controlling this entire cycle is this molecule called hepcidin, which is released from the liver. Okay. Now, this hepcidin is a molecule which, what it does is, it inhibits the absorption of iron from this level. At the duodenal level. There are ports which will take in the iron. So those ports gets closed because of hepcidin. Whenever hepcidin is released, those ports will get closed. No iron is allowed to.
So iron just pass through.
Iron will just pass through your stomach, out over there. And it will not affect even this macrophages. It will not allow this ferritin and this to be released. Hepcidin. Okay, so you can see that only thing which is controlling this entire thing is this hepcidin molecule.
So hepcidin is triggered when the iron levels go up?
Yeah, I'll come back to the thing. So hepcidin is the one which is going to control. Now in this entire cycle, if you see iron come, what is happening is the only control is in the absorption part. There is no excretion at all occurring anywhere. Body has no ways of excreting iron at all. See, there's no, I can show you this pathways. There's some amount of iron lost in sweating and in urine. sweating and urine, some amount of iron is lost. Okay, there's a very minimal amount which is lost, but that is lost. What happens is, and this duodenal cell, you know, the enterocyte, the cell which is lining the duodenum, which is there inside, that cell has an entry port for iron to come in, and will you stop?
Please, your
I said no.
I don't know. But I couldn't say no to it.
IPM में टाइम आउट को क्या बोलते हैं? IPM में टाइम आउट होता है? इसमें क्या बोलते हैं? IPM में टाइम आउट होता है ना? CM टायर strategic time. Sorry guys who are listening to this video, we had a strategic time out right now in which we had a tea break and therefore the thing got stopped. Now we are stuck at the intestinal cell level. There is the same channel through which iron enters and there is a channel through which iron exits. Now what happens is that even if whatever lot of iron gets entry into the cell, but whatever extra iron is there, not needed, it gets, this intestinal cell also has this apoferritin molecules. So all excess iron gets bound to this apoferritin molecules and forms a ferritin inside the intestinal cell. And what iron is required is passed out into the arteries, into the bloodstreams. Okay, to be contained by transferrin. Transferrin incidentally is produced by the liver. Here you can see this transferrin produced in the liver. This is the entire cycle. Okay. Now our requirements for daily requirement, we require about 1 milligram of iron per day for men, and for women it's 1.5 to 2 or 2.5 milligrams per day. Is the daily requirement of iron. But to absorb this iron 1 milligram, you need to consume 10 times the amount of iron. So your dietary requirement would be 10 times your daily requirement, that is 10 milligrams for men, and for women it would be 20-25 milligrams per day of iron would have to be. That is the daily requirement. That's the thing that you will be requiring. Okay. Now, question that arises is now, there is no respiratory mechanism. Now, why do men require iron?
And require iron?
Yeah, why do they require iron? Okay, price for that now. Why do men require iron? I have not shown any respiratory mechanism. Only thing I said that sweat and urine of course iron undetectable goes through. But that doesn't mean that you won't require 1 milligram iron every day in that. So where does that 1 milligram, why do men require? Women, we understand that they lose the period. Per period, our blood loss is 30 ml. 1 ml of blood is equal to 1 milligram of iron. So that translates into 30 milligram of iron per month. That's 1 milligram extra iron you have to take per day for a woman who is in a childbearing age group. But why men should have it?
We require for some other metabolism.
I haven't said any other metabolism. Not to have cytochrome, those are 5%. Nothing. The answer to it I just gave is this enterocyte. This intestinal lining, it absorbs that 1% of iron which has come in, but all that extra iron that is not needed is converted to ferritin in the intestinal cell, and we know that the intestinal, our entire GI tract lining changes over 6 weeks. A new lining comes out. So we lose a lot of the cells which are iron loaded, though it is that 10 milligram, let's say 1 milligram iron has already entered the cell, but significant 1 milligram is lost in the fecal listing. Remember that our feces, 40% is our cells of our intestinal lining, our gut lining. Gut lining cells, 40% is a component. So in that 40% component, that 1 milligram of iron is lost. Therefore, men require 1 milligram. Females also require 1 milligram. In the childbearing age group, again, extra 1 to 1.5 milligrams.
40% shedding from the intestinal lining is
For our feces, 40% is cells.
from the intestine.
Cells of our own gut.
All gut.
But whole gut.
During what time? In what
6
duration?
weeks. 6 weeks.
No, 6 weeks is
Many. Every time you pass a stool,
Yeah.
every time.
40% of it is cells from our own body, lining our own gut.
So it keeps shedding like this.
It keeps shedding.
And replenishing.
Yeah, replenishing. That's the order of the thing. So if you, like if you see for the skin, every 6 weeks. Why do you want to know that fact that every 6 weeks? Because you want to treat for fungal infections. Now allopaths will treat fungal infection for 6 weeks with the antifungal agent. Why? Because then in that time span, a new skin has come. So any fungus, the same is there, has been shed off. Is a new skin which has come up. So that is the logic behind giving an antifungal for 6 weeks. So try to correlate everything. You don't have to mug up everything. No, our body is very well calibrated. Be curious about it, and then you will get everything. Like I said, why we need acid? The same. Where do you think if we need acid for iron absorption? So where is the most likely site for iron absorption? We can make a guess. Either it is in the stomach or in the duodenum. Now we narrowed it down to duodenum. This is the same. So everything, try to put like an interlocking jigsaw puzzle, you get it. But this is the cycle of iron metabolism. Now what happens in iron deficiency anemia? Now we come to the iron deficiency anemia. Can you doctor zoom out so that we can have this blackboard also?
No. It's already.
Huh?
You have the blackboard.
Yeah, I have the blackboard. Okay. Okay. Remember what I told you is. Huh? No. Okay, let me tell you. The RBC, ferritin is the storage form of iron. Now what happened is, pandemic came and our practices came to a standstill. We ran out of money, cash in hand. So what do?
Go and take from bank.
Yeah, exactly. We go and take it from the bank. अपना savings का खाता में से निकालेंगे जो पैसा है. So this is the saving
Storage.
This is the storage. That bank is also a storage for money. So this is a storage. So what it will do is, first the storage will be utilized. As soon as iron deficiency is coming in, let's suppose that the iron either से कम हो गया, absorption कम हो गया, iron is coming less into the body, but the removal part is there going on. So what is happening? Now you start using this ferritin. As I told you that some ferritin leaks out into the blood, and therefore this leaked out blood, ferritin, is proportional to this iron stored inside the cell. Okay, so the first thing to go down will be the serum ferritin. Serum ferritin is the first thing that will go down because your stores are now getting depleted. जब तक है तब तक तो serum ferritin will be normal. But as soon as serum ferritin का stores नीचे गया तो serum ferritin out here is getting depleted, तो इधर cash कम आ रहा है. Your bank balance was 10 lakhs to begin with in the pandemic. Monday say you got 50,000, 1 lakh सब निकाला. Now you have come down now to 25,000 bank balance, and the bank is saying you have to maintain a minimum balance, and now you start drawing out only 1,000, 2,000, 5,000. So this ferritin starts dropping. So the first thing that will occur in iron deficiency, not read that anemia part. Iron deficiency is serum ferritin goes down. Alright. So when you're coming to a CBC report and you see that it is iron deficiency, but you're not clear cut about it, you like to do a serum ferritin. If this is low, then you're on sure grounds that this is other thing. Now serum iron studies consist of several other factors. Alright. Now next is serum iron, which measures this iron in the bloodstream. So first the ferritin level goes down. Now the serum iron levels are going down. There are transferrin molecules are not filled with the thing. Some of the transferrin molecules you see are all empty, don't have any iron molecules. So this iron is being lost. So more of transferrin molecules will be without iron and less with iron bound. So level of iron starts going down. Once the level of iron starts going down, now your system is under a stress. Alright, you have already exhausted your bank balance. Second thing, now you started opening up your dabbas in the house for any hidden money. उसमें से सब पैसा निकाला. Cash in hand is also dwindling down now. Now you are under a lot of stress. So what does the liver do? Body senses के stress है. Body has no way of knowing what is happening, what actually is this. So what will do? Liver will start producing transferrin. It will produce transferrin. It will start producing the transferrin more and more in the hope that this transferrin will get
more of iron.
किधर से तुम्हें आयन लेके आएगा यार, लेके आओ हमारे लिए आयन. So it will start producing the same. So what happens is next is total iron binding capacity. This is the iron. Iron is going down. Now the iron binding capacity will go up. This is going down. This is going down. This will go up. Total iron binding capacity, because lot of transferrin molecules are there.
Right.
Now that is your binding capacity is increased, but you don't have. Just check that this is in focus. Yeah. Okay. So your TIBC is going up. Alright. And now when you're talking of TIBC, there's something called saturation percentage. Transferrin saturation percentage. Transferrin saturation percentage. Here if you see in the normal times, it is 1/3 bound. If there are, I should have bound 3 more transferrin molecules. So if there are 9 molecules of transferrin over here, only 3 are carrying iron. So how much is the saturation? 1/3, 33%. Normally, so it is 33% saturation. Now when this iron, this thing is going down and your liver started producing this thing, transferrin molecules, plenty of transferrin molecules, but no iron to bind to. So what happens is the saturation of the transferrin is going down. So transferrin saturation will be less, while total iron binding capacity is going up. It is able to bind endless amount now, but there is no iron to bind, so saturation is low. So this is a pattern in which it will go. Now at this point, you will now get your changes in the RBCs, which will be coming up. So your microcytic hypochromic, this thing is the last final this thing which will come up in that entire chain of evidence. So when you are seeing a hypochromic microcytic anemia, this person has gone through all this now. Okay, so this is where originating it. Okay, iron comes in, transferrin attached to transferrin goes to the myeloid tissues, Erythroblast takes this up, is taken up, hemoglobin formed, RBC released in the blood vessels, after 100 days taken over by macrophages, ferritin, apoferritin combines with iron, ferritin forms ferritin, and lot of ferritin molecules bind together, hemocysteine. Now this is the storage form. From this some amount may leak out. So this cycle goes on. When this cycle is disrupted, your time balance is getting depleted. So serum ferritin is the first one to go. Mind nothing else is happening all around. So everything is okay, fine. Then next, this is got exhausted, and iron in the blood will go down. When the iron in the blood is going down, things are now in your body is under super stress. It has to be, so liver starts producing transferrin. The transferrin, number of transferrin molecules go up. The iron binding capacity goes up. At the same time, saturation starts to fall, and then you have this hypochronic microcytic anemia. In short, alright. और कुछ बहुत कुछ मैंने मिस किया. Yeah, one more thing. Iron deficient anemia, though pica is common symptom in children that you see, but if the same symptom is seen in adults, it is not normal. It is suggestive of a psychotic illness or something. Highly suggestive of this thing. So if you see an adult patient, so maybe it's not iron deficient. It could be a psychotic probe into that. Another pathognomic feature of iron deficiency anemia is they want to eat ice. Ice. You have to ask them, no? हम इसको आइस बहुत पसंद है, वो फ्रिज में से खोल के बर्फ का टुकड़ा खा लेता है. Yeah, they the same. That is called pagophilia. Pagophilia. Pagophagia.
How is it correlated with ice? Why did they take ice?
Huh?
Why did they take ice?
I don't know that correlation.
And the pica in the children, is it because of the repetition itself that they feel like craving to eat?
Yeah, the craving for non-food items. They would eat chalk, plasters, and all that.
See how it connects with bacteria?
So you have those. I think so. That is that. Okay. And why do you have microcytic? I forgot to say that. Microcytic anemia in iron deficiency anemia. Simple, because the hemoglobin has not been formed. So RBCs, two things. Hemoglobin कम होगा तो size भी कम हो गया. And दूसरा क्या होता है कि because it is not hemoglobinized so much, before releasing it, it tends to stay out over there in the hope that किधर ना किधर से iron आ जाएगा. And once you see, if you see the RBC का formation, maturation cycle, the cell size keeps decreasing. This is 20 microns, whereas this is 7.2 microns. So it has gone from 20 to 7.2. The longer it is going to stay out here in the hope that iron आ जाएगा, it becomes smaller and smaller. So that 90 femtoliters starts falling to 85, 80, 70, 60 and all that. Okay. Let's stop it. But now you are confused.
Yeah.
Okay, here one last case to the same, how we can channelize our thought processes, how we have to, rarely in life we'll get some figures, we get a CBC which will be straightforward and the same, tell you the diagnosis, there will be some confusion. Because for one thing that I told you is that for iron deficiency anemia, RBC, hemoglobin, MCV, MCH, MCHC, all low, you are quite sure this is going to be iron deficiency anemia. Right? And okay, before that, I just talked about the iron. I forgot this most important thing. We are talking of C. colon. We just forgot that here. See, I've written in my notes also that anemia, diagnosis of anemia is not a diagnostic label. It is a means to search for underlying cause, which we have found. Like you have got a megaloblastic anemia, you know that you search for B12 deficiency. If you're not getting macrocytosis, so you might think of thyroid workup, you might think of a liver workup. Now those workups, alright, those workups. So this is not the diagnosis, the thing, but this is the base on which you're going to work up everything. Now, one thing is there definite, that iron deficiency anemia in an adult male and postmenopausal woman from a खाता पिता घर से है, and you get iron deficiency anemia, don't let the patient go with iron prescription. Search for the cause. The most commonest cause will be somewhere in the colon. Somewhere is using iron. You inquire. Obviously, when you inquire, you got the same. Are you passing black stools? You got gastritis. Probably he's got a gastric ulcer. It's a bleeding gastritis. It's a bleeding black stools, or he's got the same piles, which is bleeding every day. So those causes are ruled out. But when you don't have no cause where his iron has to go down, blood loss is not occurring, then think of searching for malignancies. The most common, CA colon, because he is losing the iron through the colonic passage. So all this that I taught you today is a step to further the thing. It's not a diagnosis in by itself. It will indicate a lot more other than that. Okay. Now one teaser for that last and one prize also for that. Okay. Hemoglobin 5.7, fine. Hemoglobin 10.2, low iron. So it's anemia. Fat cell volume 35.4, low, again anemia. MCV, low, microcytic. MCH 17.9, again that is low. MCHC 28.8. So again it goes into hypochromic. So microcytic, hypochromic. Now what is that is microcytic, hypochromic? Two main diagnoses to consider: iron deficiency anemia and the same. There are other diagnoses, but commonest are minor. Okay. Now, we got this. Now, if you see the RDW is 19.5 red cell distribution weight, which I said in a thalassemia I explained, because thalassemia everything is normal, only the global part is not normal, so the distribution weight is not going to increase, whereas for iron number of this thing is going to increase, so this is increasing, but yet if you see Mensa's index 10.9, so it is thalassemia, but this is 19.5. अब क्या करोगे? You are stuck with this report. It is neither here nor there. How do you go about solving it? Any clues? It definitely looks into the thal trait, thalassemia, the same. It's going to that. Thal minor, beta, the same. But this is eating into your head, Why 19.5? That means that there is not anisocytosis, and which we said anisocytosis and iron deficiency. So are we having iron deficiency also concurrent?
So we have to first treat with iron.
So now wait. Now we are having concurrent iron deficiency. Are we dealing with that also? Because fitting even with iron deficiency, if you remove this part, it's still fitting in with the iron deficiency part. But this is strongly suggestive of this thing. Now you are into the thing. You have made a decision in your clinic. What do you do now? Where do you think? Where will you, or what will you do? What should you do? What not to do? Now here, this is where will come and help you is, if you keep seeing reports and you see that microcytic iron deficiency anemia, the MCV is very far less and hemoglobin will be very low. So if this is a combined deficiency of thalassemia and iron, I would expect this number to be low, still low. And this to be still low, because as it is both of them are combining together, so this should both go down. So this is definitely, we are not into the iron category, we are still in the thalassemia this thing. Now what is hindering our progress is the RDW. So what I would probably do is ignore this or get a sample tested again, another lab, and get this RDW is false. So this is how I would go. And now in the ultimate analysis, what you have to do is, because this picture is so confusing, you go in for iron studies and you do electrophoresis study. How will you go around solving cases, because in real life you'll never get such straightforward cases which I have presented. Those are typical ones, but this is how you have to go think your way about it. Like in this case, iron में घंटी बज रहा है, iron में इतना लो आना चाहिए, और भी लो आना चाहिए, और भी लो आना चाहिए. This should be really low. Okay, this is one which is indicating, or is this wrong only by itself? So these are all the thought processes that go into your head and should the same. And there are plenty of the same. You get plenty of chances to read all this. Don't ignore even for practice purpose, go through those reports, see those values, try to the same. And even before that, before you start the CBC, patient को बोलते हैं हाथ दिखाओ, show your tongue, look at the same. You form an impression of how much hemoglobin it is there, how much you're able to see. Then look at the report, correlate it. If you keep doing this regularly, you become an expert at judging the hemoglobin. You know the hemoglobin is itna hai. All that you have to do is match your patient heart and allow you have your the same criteria कि hemoglobin इतना आना चाहिए, इसका बहुत कम है, 8 है, 9 है, 6 है. So build up on those skills also. These are skills which nobody needs to teach you. Pick up on the way. After this, any questions? Push on the group. Get it done. Okay.
The last thing is, okay, which are the supplements best now?
Huh?
Which are the iron supplements good one?
Iron supplements, see, recent evidence which is coming in the same is coming up as showing that unlike in the past where we used to have high iron, iron containing supplements, we used to give to the patients. They have found that it is not necessary. You may even give a low dosing and they act much better than the one which are high iron content, like 64 milligrams of iron or 50 milligrams of iron per tablet or per capsule. Whereas if you do just 15 milligrams per tablet, that will work much better than that 50 milligram one. And if the 50 milligram one tablet is the same, if you prescribe it and the patient has it, then you will possibly switch over to alternate day 50 milligrams. So that 25, it averages out to 25 milligram per day you like to do. So now tendency is to give low iron because they are equally effective. Now the low iron, you want me to go into the trade names? Yes, switch it off because there is not a commercial listing.